Hi, I'm Brian. Welcome back to another On the Road video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Stop! Before beginning any repair, always be sure to disconnect the power to the appliance. It is also recommended to test the outlet for proper voltage.
Okay, today we're looking at a Whirlpool gas range, and the complaint is that the bake is not igniting or starting. Okay, so one of the first things it's good to do is just verify that we do have gas to the unit. I'm just gonna turn on the cooktop up top, one of the burners here, and obviously it did ignite. We have flame, so we know we have gas. The next thing we'll do is hit the bake cycle and start and see what happens in the oven here. Just gonna listen for it. Okay, so we heard the bake igniter click a few times, and the gas was coming out, but it never did ignite. So you'll hear a click, 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 and another click, click, click. And at that point, the unit shuts down or stops trying to ignite so that the gas that's built up in there can dissipate, and then it will try again after a few minutes. And we'll try that a few different times until if it doesn't recognize that it, has not ignited yet, it'll just lock out the control to where it doesn't try to ignite at all anymore until this cycle's canceled or reset. So we can hear the igniter clicking and the gas coming out, and it's not igniting. So we need to get down into the oven and see what's happening, or if our igniter is actually sparking where it's supposed to spark at, and go from there. The tools needed for this repair are a Phillips screwdriver and a multimeter. All right, so first thing we'll do is remove the oven door. We're gonna open the door and then swing these little hinge tabs forward and bring the door back up to about this position here, and they'll come right out of there. All right, next we'll just remove our two oven racks. And now to take our bottom panel off here, there's gonna be two Phillips screws in the back to remove. All right, so just lift up on the back and slide it towards the back and remove it. All right, now we're gonna remove this panel here, our flame spreader. There's two Phillips or square bit screws here. There. And now we can lift up on the front of this. There's the little tabs that it sits in. So we lift up to release those and then pull it forward to release the two tabs from the holes in the back, and then lift the back up and then slide it to the back and remove it. All right, so now that we have access to our igniter here and burn tube, we're gonna go ahead and start up on a bake cycle again and see what's happening. Okay, so you can see that it's clicking, the gas is coming out. I'm not seeing the spark here at the igniter like we should. I'm gonna turn this light off and try it again to help us see it. Okay, so that time we could see that it did ignite for us right away, got the flame. Could see the ignition on the igniter there, the very first click. So we'll try it again here just to see if when it's not working, if we can get it to not work again, if at that point, if it's sparking. Okay, so right there, I couldn't see the spark on the igniter the first time there, and then it did spark the second time and ignite. Okay, so it's kind of intermittently working and not working, not sparking at the igniter, but we can hear the clicking going on. So one thing that they've actually updated and changed on this unit is the wire harness for the bake and broil igniters from the DSI board. So there's actually a service pointer out for that from the manufacturer. So that's the first thing we're gonna do. The igniter's already been replaced on this unit previously for the same issue. So we're not going to worry about the igniter this time. It potentially could give you the same issues, but more often than not, the harness with the updated harness is going to resolve your issue. So what we're going to do for this repair is install the bake and broil harness. Even as important as verifying that there is gas to the unit, we need to actually check the outlet for proper polarity and voltage on these units with direct spark ignition for your bake and broil igniters. It's very important that the outlets are properly grounded and polarized, or you will get intermittent issues with the oven not igniting. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to unplug the oven from the outlet here that it's plugged into, and we're going to take our meter and we're going to go the right side here with the smaller spade terminal or outlet is going to be our hot side, and then the larger one over here is our neutral. So across here we should read about approximately 120 volts, and you can see we're getting 126. So that's good there. And then from the hot side here to our ground, we need to have 120 volts as well. And you can see, we're picking up 0.00, so basically no voltage there. And if we go from, so that's, incorrect. We should have had 120 here. And if we go from the neutral side to our ground, this is where we should have no voltage or 0 voltage. And you can see that we have 126 here. So basically what this means is we have reverse polarity or improper ground on this unit. So, we should have the 120 from the hot side to ground. So basically on this unit, our neutral is actually hot, which is incorrect. And our hot is actually our neutral. So that right there is going to need to be corrected in order for this oven to work properly. Okay, so now that we have the outlet corrected and we have the unit unplugged, we're going to replace the bake and broil wire harness. And first thing we're going to do here underneath the unit is unplug the bake igniter wire, and we're going to remove it from the clip over here. And you can see it goes up the back of the cabinet. So we're going to need at this point to pull the unit out and do the rest of the work from the back. Okay, the next step is to take the 2 back panels off of the unit. There's going to be 5 screws on each side to remove. Phillips or square. Number 2 Phillips or square. All right, next we're gonna have to take this inner back panel or cover off, and there's just 2 screws on the bottom. You can actually just loosen these up because they're slotted. And then just pull up on the bottom and out. And then there's 3 tabs here that it'll come out of. All right, so here's the part of the harness that goes to our broil igniter. We're just gonna remove this one from the broil igniter. It goes through this clip here, so fish it back through there. And then this brown one is down to the broil igniter, which we disconnected earlier. It goes down through the cabinet here. So for right now, we're just gonna fish that up and out of there. And then a little clip here to bend out to get them past that. And then we just have the connections here at our DSI board. We just have our connections here at our DSI board. And the brown one is to the most right. We need to take note of that. That's J3. And the white one here for the broil is to the left or the middle, and it's J4. So we're gonna disconnect these. All right, and that's our old wire harness here. We'll go ahead and remove that, get rid of that. All right, so here we got the new updated harness for the bake and broil. So you can see with the new harness here that it has this black protective coating over top of the actual igniter wires here. So that's the part that they updated. So what we're gonna do is just go backwards from how we uninstalled it. And the brown is now a black wire and the white's still white. So we're gonna come up here and reconnect our white to the J4 on the left. And the black to the J3 on the white, which was our brown wire. And we're gonna bring it over here, tuck it behind this clip. And then we're gonna take the brown one, which is the longer one, or I mean the black one, and we're gonna fish it down it actually goes into next to our spark module here through this hole. And we'll come back to that in just a second. We'll take our broil wire and we're gonna come over here, go through that clip again, and then bring it back over, kind of a zigzag formation, and plug it in. Okay. Now we're gonna need to remove, in the instructions it tells you we need to remove this side panel, the back of it, with these 2 screws here. So we'll remove these 2 screws, which are also Phillips, number 2 Phillips or square bit. And then now we should be able to pull over this panel here to the side. All right, and then on this one, we have this little plastic retainer that's going to be going through this hole right here on the inside. So I'm just gonna take it and put it right through there so it's secure. And we're just gonna take the rest of this igniter harness wire for our bake here and just kind of get it to the left over here underneath the unit. All right, so we're just gonna get the rest of the bake harness wire here over and under the unit. And we can actually reinstall all this from the back instead of the front, which is how we uninstalled it. They're just gonna take the wire here and install it into our clip at the bottom where we removed the old one from, and then we can take the wire and go ahead and plug it into the igniter while we're down here. Okay, now we can go ahead and reattach our side panel and our back panels and put the unit back and test it out. Okay, so we got the back of the unit all put back together and the unit back in position here. We're gonna go ahead and test this out now. Hit bake and start. Okay, ignite it up right away. We're gonna try it out a couple more times here to make sure it keeps igniting. Okay, seems to be doing well. A lot of times with this complaint, what you'll get is intermittent issue, like we explained earlier. What'll happen is when the unit gets nice and hot during the actual bake cycle, after it preheats and it starts cycling on and off, you'll get it to where it doesn't come back on to heat back up again once it loses some temperature. So you'll get the complaint that it preheated, but then didn't make it through the cycle. Temperature dropped, took a long time to cook, cooled down quite a bit. Things like that you'll get, and like the wire harness has been updated. That's what we installed here. Other things that can cause this are a bad igniter or an igniter that needs to be adjusted a bit. You can take this piece here. You should have about 3/8 gap between the burner tube and the igniter cage here, and you can adjust that. Sometimes over time the heat expands that and causes it to get too far away for the spark to hit it, or for the spark to be close enough for the gas to ignite it. The other things with this are the DSI board. It explains that in the service pointer too, that the soldering points on the back of the board can get too close to the metal cabinet that it sits near up in the control area there, and it can short out there or spark there instead of down here at the igniter when it's trying to send the spark or the voltage down here. It's sparking up at the board instead because it's too close to the metal, as well as the outlet that we already explained. So those are just kind of some of the things to check when you're working on one of these or doing one of these repairs. One other thing that can cause trouble on these ovens not baking or not igniting is things in the drawer here. So basically our igniter sits underneath the oven in the back of where this drawer comes close to, the back lip of the drawer here. So if you have pots and pans in here that are sticking up higher than the walls of the drawer, they can go over top of the sides and come in contact with the bake igniter or the wire which then causes the sparking to hit the metal pan versus the igniter where it needs to be. So one more thing to check and be aware of is just your pans down here in the drawer. Right, now we can go ahead and replace our door. Just want to make sure we get these in there as far as they'll go, and then bring it down, push in the hinge clips. Okay, now the door is lined up, and that will complete your repair.
Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.